Welcome back to the American Superbike Show. I am your host, Stitch Turner. Thank you for telling your friends about the show, for liking and subscribing, or however it is on the podcasting app of your choice, and just in general fueling this growth that we are continuing to have month after month over month. And let's just keep that going all through the 2026 MotoAmerica season. You can get in touch with the show. I have Reddit. There's a subreddit that is for the American Superbike Show. I have an Instagram, which you can search for me by name, Stitch Turner, or I think my handle is at American Superbike Show with like a underscore between each word. But I'm not going to lie, I mainly use Instagram just to DM people. I also have a Blue Sky. I like Blue Sky. It reminds me a lot of peak Twitter from like 2008 to 2014 with the functionality and the personalities that are out there and everything. So I, tend to hang out on that one a bit. And you can still get in touch with me by just a good old-fashioned email, americansuperbikeshow@gmail.com. So today we are going to have volume 1 of our 5-question series. But first we're going to go over the news of the week. And the first item of our news of the week is Dunlop had a 2-day tire test at Circuit of the Americas for MotoAmerica competitors this week. Sean Dylan Kelly was the fastest overall on both days. And in the second day, which was St. Patrick's Day, he was under Cambobier's fast lap time that he set during the Moto race weekend in 2025. That lap time that Cambobier had previously established was a 2-minute 7.497 second lap, and Sean Dylan Kelly on Tuesday was able to go 2 minutes and 7.358 seconds. So, just a little bit more than a tenth and a half off of the lap record time. It doesn't count as an actual lap record because it's not happening during the race weekend. So we'll have to wait till September rolls around again and we visit COTA for reals before any sort of records can be broken. But it is promising to see that there was at least one bike underneath that lap record. Bobby Fong was also close, but it was only he was only a half second off. But aside from that, I don't really look into testing time very much. And there's a few reasons for that. The first is that, well, this isn't a race weekend in every single way. The weather at COTA was pretty cold. Like, I'm kind of glad I didn't make it out there because I am a Floridian and I don't know if I have enough jackets to be wandering around the track in that kind of weather. You can laugh at me all you want to, but I'm nice and warm and happy at my home in sunny Florida, and I like to try and stay that way as much as possible and not die of hypothermia. So the weather is one factor. Like, it was not conditions that we're going to see at any other race weekend throughout the year. We also didn't see everyone there. Not all the Superbike teams were there. Like, for instance, Cambobier and Benjamin Smith with the Flow for Law Warhorse Ducati. I can't remember exactly how the team's name is off the top of my head. But, anyone that was, the two guys especially that were riding the brand new 2026 Ducati Panigale V4R, like, neither one of them were there. So the only Ducati that was present at the test was Cam Peterson. And I believe he is riding a 2025 spec Ducati Panigale V4R that was literally the same bike that Josh Herron was riding last year. So we don't really have everyone there to even directly stack times up against each other. And plus the fact that, like, when they are on track, it's multiple classes at once, so there's traffic. It's more like just a traditional track day than a race weekend. And then on top of all of that, we have no idea what they're working on. Just because they're out there and putting out laps doesn't mean that they're like absolutely trying to put down the fastest lap time each and every single lap that they go by. They could be working on like a long tire run, trying to just judge the wear of the Dunlop tires and the different compounds throughout, what happens after 10 laps, 15 laps, 20 laps on this tire. So, we just don't really know what they were working on and how. So these times aren't really going to be a good comparison of like stacking people up directly up against each other. What this is very useful for is to do a little bit of sleuthing. A lot of people are able to point out that, like, right there on those timesheets and included in the story on MotoAmerica.com, Andrew Lee is going to be Hayden Gillim's teammate, the Real Steel Honda team. He was riding around in a Honda CBR 1000RR-SP, and I've known about this for a little while, but it's great to see him out there on the track on the bike. I had originally been told that I think that he was going to be on Superbike, but I probably just misheard, in him. I probably just misheard the info that was given to me. And because it appears that he's going to be riding in the Superbike Cup this year. So it's great to see the 2025 Stock 1000 champion back in the paddock and ready to kick some more ass and take some more names. Also, some sleuthing that we were able to do is Talent Cup. So not this weekend, but next weekend after that is going to be the opening round for MotoAmerica's Talent Cup for 2026. And it's going to be part of a support race for the MotoGP race weekend there. 8 Kramers were at this 2-day Dunlop tire test. So, like Superbike, that probably wasn't everybody, but we at least now have 8 names. And the ones that I was able to determine that were there were number 10, Ian Fraley, number 11, Reese Frankenfield, number 17. On the first day, they were listed as Fairlanders, and the second, but after the first session, it became Banditlanders, and I am almost 100% positive that they are related to Roccolanders, at least from what I can tell on Instagram. I'm not entirely sure. I've never met them, never talked to them, and I haven't been able to, receive any sort of confirmation. But I'm pretty sure we have another Landers now in the series. Number 18, Ricard Herb. Number 19 was Nathan Gooker. Number 23, Derek Sanchez. Number 74, Kenzie Matsudaira, which he was the GP 190 MiniCup champion for the last 2 years, I think. So it's nice to see him moving up into Talent Cup. And then number 99, Nathan Betancourt. And some of these people like Fraley and Betancourt and Derek Sanchez, these are carryovers from last year. So it's nice to see them back. So those are 8 bikes that were there at the test, and so we got a pretty good idea they're going to be running at some point in Talent Cup this season. Also, we had it confirmed earlier from a story that was out there by RoadRacingWorld.com that Jake Page is going to be running Talent Cup in MotoAmerica this year. So that makes 9 riders. It's going to be interesting to see in a couple of weeks like how many total we have, because there's no real way to know who missed the test. We can only really tell who made it there. Let's see here. Also, that same weekend, that Talent Cup's going to be opening their season as a support race for MotoGP at COTA. The Baggers World Cup is also going to kick off their season, and now when they do so, the Saddlemen Race Development team is going to be a 3-rider team instead of just 2. James Rispoli and Corey West were already confirmed to be doing the entire season of the Baggers World Cup, and now they're going to add Travis Wyman to that roster, and I think that's... Honestly, Travis is really damn good on the baggers, and I think the 3 of them are going to, so one of those 3 riders I think is going to be getting a number 1 plate this year. There's only 9 total entered in the class, so that's not exactly the best look for the first race of this new class in the new season, but we'll have to see how it goes. Hopefully, maybe a couple more bikes will show up. But at the very least, I hope the 9 that are already committed for their full season or continue to do the full season, because if they start losing a couple from that, then things could get a little ugly early. So we'll have to wait and see. I hope the best for that series, though, because, I like watching the baggers run. Yeah, it's a little goofy. Yeah, it's a little different. But the racing's also still usually pretty dang good. And so, and I like watching good racing. That's my biggest number one, is the racing good? And if it's yes, then I'll probably watch it. Our next bit of the news of the week, Sonya Lloyd is recovering from a concussion that she received while at Daytona. She put out a thing on her Instagram that she's been recovering nicely. I don't know if you saw the Twins Cup Race 2, when the pack was going into the International Horseshoe after a start, there was 2 bikes that, I don't remember who they were, but 2 bikes that were behind Sonya Lloyd came together, crashed. And as Sonya's leaning in to initiate, the turn in at the, for the hairpin, for the horseshoe there, one of the bikes just slid forward and took her out from behind. And when she hit the ground, she did, you could see that it did give a little knock to the noggin there. And so I'm glad to see that she's recovering. Super happy that she's going to be able to make the next race at Road Atlanta. And after she did put this out on Instagram, I got a little curious because I don't remember seeing anything of this from Team Hammer's announcement, but Sonya did confirm to me that she will be riding the full season in Twins Cup for Team Hammer on a Suzuki GSX 8R. So good for her. I'm happy to see her back in America. Last couple of years, she's been part of the Women's World Challenge. I can't remember the exact order of the words, but, running around as a support race for World Superbike. She did a fantastic job representing MotoAmerica over in that series, and I'm glad to have her home. Our next little bit of news, we are going to start talking about MiniCup qualifying rounds. MotoAmerica has been putting out pretty much an article every single day, but with a new set of races that kids can go to help qualify for the MiniCup National Championships that are going to be, it's August 7th through 9th at the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex as part of Road America's complex there. They host the MiniCup National Finals every year. Now, the first one that I saw was put out by ASRA in New Jersey MiniGP. They're partnering for a MiniCup qualifying round. This is going to be held at Summit Point Motorsports Park on May 23rd through the 25th. For more details, you can go to asraracing.com. And let's see here. After that, I saw we have South Florida MiniGP is going to be running 2 MiniCup rounds. The first one is going to be at Gainesville Raceway, April 25th and 26th. I will be there, and probably not just there walking around, just, being nosy like I normally am. My nephew, I have a 10-year-old nephew, and long story short, this year, I've been riding bikes with him to and from school every day, just kind of trying to help my sister out. She's got 3 kids, going to 3 different schools, 1-year thing. So this is, me doing my good brother thing of stepping up to help out. And over the course of the year, he's also going to this school, for the first time, for the full year for the first time. And he's done just such a good job of adapting and improving, and this year's just been a noticeable difference in how he's handled his school. And you know what, he deserves some sort of reward for that. And so I've been talking to my sister and I've been talking to his mom, and I think we're going to be there. I'm going to try and register my nephew. He's never ridden a motorcycle before, but we ride bikes every day, and he loves cars and he loves motorcycles, and he's a total gearhead already at 10 years old. And so what better way to take him out, put him in the trusted hands of Mike Carrera and everyone at South Florida MiniGP, because the last time that they were at Gainesville Raceway, I went there, just kind of watched and walked around. I took a couple pictures, but nothing really great, and just wanted to just kind of absorb the environment. And it is just such a great place to be. It was so family friendly. And then the last session of each group was for the first time kids only, and just the way that they were able to just gently push them and taking them out on track on a motorcycle with a coach riding alongside them, and just every little bit of how they were able to handle the kids. I was impressed. And so I am taking my own nephew there, and we will be there that weekend. So that's Gainesville Raceway, April 25th and 26th. They're also going to have a round at Bushnell Motorsports Park in June 6th and 7th. That's a place I also like to go to. I used to be part of a go-kart league that raced there. But for more information on either one of those rounds, you can go to sflminigp.com. Let's see here. What else? Next one, Ohvale is going to be hosting 3 MiniCup qualifier rounds. Now, the dates have changed since their initial release. So what they are now, it's going to be April 25th and 26th. And then they're going to have other ones on May 16th and May 30th. All of these rounds are going to be held at Apex Motorsports Park in Paris, California. And for more information, you can go to ohvaleusa.com. Our next one, Hawk Mazzotta Moto Camp is going to host 4 qualifying rounds. March 14th and 15th, that was last weekend, so this one already happened. That was at Apex Motorsports Park in Paris, California. So you're probably too late for that one. But the next one's going to be June 6th and 7th at the Reading Race Complex in Reading, California. and then July 25th and 26th at Sonoma Raceway in Sonoma, California. For more information on those rounds, you can go to HawkMazzottaMotocamp.com for more info. And then finally, Utah Superbike is going to host 3 rounds. They're going to be May 30th, June 20th, and July 11th. And all of those rounds are going to take place at Burt Brothers Motorsports Park. And I'm guessing that is the same formerly Utah Motorsports Campus. It's had a few different names over the years out there in Tuwele, Utah. Now, for all these rounds, Honda, Kawasaki, and Yamaha are going to be paying contingency at each event. Each event's also to give every competitor a one-time bonus of 10 points to help qualify for the MiniCup finals. Now, so if you go to multiple different ones, say like you go to the same one I'm going to at the South Florida MiniGP put round at Gainesville Raceway, April 25th and 26th, and then maybe you decide that you're going to go across the country and go do the Hawk Mazzotta Moto Camp round in June 6th and 7th, you're still only going to get those 10 bonus points one time. But every competitor will get them at least once. And there's going to be 5 different classes, and they're going to be meant for kids aged 6 to 16. So if you have a kid that's somewhere in that age range and they are interested in motorcycle racing, just take them out there. You don't even have to participate one time. Just go watch. See, like, they're either going to be like, maybe it's not for me, but more likely they're going to be like, yeah, I love this. And it's going to get them energized even more. And buddy, let me tell you, when you give a kid something to work for, just everything about their attitude and demeanor, it just gets better. All right, so that's all about the MiniCup qualifying rounds. Our final piece of news of the week, the Paddock Network is coming to North America. I have been seeing this Paddock Network. I've been following them on Instagram for a while, and they have been mainly in England for right now. I think they cover all of Europe, but most of the stuff that I see posted on there is focused towards England. And it's, for right now, currently as it is for like British Superbike teams, MotoGP teams, World Superbike, like all of those places can go there and they can post open jobs. It is basically like a monster.com or an Indeed, but it is just for motorcycle racing. This is awesome. And I've been saying from the first time I saw it that, like, God, I wish we could have something like this in North America one day. Well, now we're going to. The Paddock Network is going to jump the pond. They're going to go live here in the United States on April 1st. Now, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to find it on Instagram. Gotta admit, I don't exactly know all the ways that you can keep up with this network, but I strongly encourage you to go find out. If you're interested at all in having a job in moto racing, like, this is where you need to be and where you can probably find it. So that's it for our news of the week. I'm going to sign off, but as long as I did this right, next it should roll straight into the 5 questions series, and it's going to be volume 1. A quick refresher on what this is. I just took 5 basic questions, super basic questions, and I wanted to have something that I could go and consistently ask every rider in the paddock, and even some non-riders, other MotoAmerica personalities. It's not meant to be hard-hitting or deeply insightful, but just simply a quick get-to-know you, not only for you, the fans, to get to know the riders of MotoAmerica a little bit better, but also to kind of help introduce myself a little bit. And it's been very helpful in that regard. I've already got about 10 recorded already. I have a couple more scheduled to do in the next couple weeks, and I'll probably even get more over the Road Atlanta weekend. But for right now, I'm just going to put 4 of them out there. This is going to be volume 1. Volume 2 is going to come sometime in the end of April. And they're not really going to be released in any particular order. Sorry about that as I pause to cough. But they're not really going to be any sort of particular order. I'm just going to, as a matter of fact, I think the first 4 on the list, as I'm looking at it right now, are Avery Dreyer, Ella Dreyer, Matthew Chapin, and Josh Hayes. So those are just the 4 that I'm going to add to the end of this episode. There's plenty more to come. If you're a rider and you've already recorded one of these with me, thank you so very much. It has been extremely helpful, and it will come out in due time. Right. Well, with all that, I guess there's nothing left for me to say except for till next week, take care of each other. We are joined by Avery Dreyer. Thank you for joining us, sir.
What's going on?
So, your answers can be as short or as long as they need to be, but we have just 5 simple questions, and all we're really looking for is just the first answer that comes to mind. The first one is, did you participate in any other sports outside of racing as a kid?
I actually played baseball for quite a long time. I think a little bit of football, but yeah, I grew up playing baseball, a lot of Little League and travel ball. I'm sure like most kids, and then I stopped doing that when I turned 14 to do Junior Cup in the MotoAmerica series. So I've been doing sports my whole life, basically.
It was a good choice, though, in my opinion. So our second question, it's a listener-submitted question from @MotoCoachShay on Instagram, and it is, if you couldn't be involved in motorcycle racing, what would you be doing for a living?
No racing at all?
No racing at all. Well, no motorcycle racing.
Okay.
I'll let you just go with that.
Maybe, I feel like a firefighter would be cool. Or maybe a pilot. One of those two. But I do have really bad flight anxiety.
Yeah.
So I'd have to get over that.
So, what was your first race bike?
My first race bike was a 2-stroke NSR 50. I rode that for quite a few years. I think that taught me a lot of good skills. I think more riders should start on the 2-strokes nowadays. Yeah. They teach you a lot.
What was the first bike you properly crashed? And I mean, like, not just like a little low slide or a tip over, but you bend it really hard and you couldn't ride it the rest of the day.
I properly crashed a lot of bikes.
What was the first one?
Probably a Sierra 50. I remember I high-sided that thing somehow in my first ever race. That was a good one.
Yeah. So, what has been your favorite experience so far in MotoAmerica?
I'd have to say either winning the Junior Cup Championship back in 2023 or making my Supersport debut here at Daytona. Both of those are pretty cool. I'm very excited to get this weekend rolling, start my first ever 200.
Well, and you still have a long career hopefully ahead of you to have some more moments like that. Avery Dreyer, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I am joined by Ella Dreyer, and we're doing just 5 simple questions. Your answers can be as long or as short as they need to be, really just looking for the first answer that comes to mind. And the first one is, did you participate in any other sports outside of racing as a kid?
I did not. Racing has always been my go-to sport, I guess you could say. Never really found an interest in anything. My mom never really, pushed me to do anything other than, racing. And, it's taken me to this now, going into my first Daytona 200.
Right. Well, we have a listener-submitted question, and it is, if you couldn't be involved in motorcycle racing, what would you want to do for a living?
Ooh, I'd probably be a mechanic.
Yeah?
Yeah, mechanic seems... it's more on the racing side, so...
Any particular kind? Like, you'd still stay in bikes as a mechanic? Or I guess that would be involved in motorcycle racing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So would you switch over to cars or do something like aircraft? Like, completely different?
Ooh, I feel like some sport cars, like, some cars like that, too.
That is a good answer.
Yeah.
That is a very good answer. So, what was your first race bike?
My first race bike was a Ninja 400 Kawasaki. Started my first season in MotoAmerica Talent, it was Junior Cup. But yeah, that was my first really race bike, and then I moved to a Kramer.
Yes, in the Talent Cup last year.
Yeah.
So what was the first bike you properly crashed? And I don't mean just like a gentle low side or a tip over, like you bend it hard and you couldn't ride it the rest of the day.
Oof. Probably my Supermoto bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was... broke my collarbone. Yeah, I didn't really do much to the bike. I just did stuff to myself. Right. Yeah.
I guess that still counts. And our final question is, what has been your favorite experience so far in MotoAmerica?
I'd say just going fast here at Daytona on the banking. This is really cool. One of the coolest rounds so far. It's the only first round, but going on the banking is pretty cool, and I really enjoy it.
Well, Ella Dreyer, thank you very much for joining us.
Of course.
I am joined by Matthew Chapin. Thank you for joining me, sir. So we're doing 5 simple questions. The answers can be as long or as short as you need it to be, but really just looking for the first answer that comes to mind. And the first question is, did you participate in any other sports outside of racing as a kid?
Yes, so I've I've wrestled, played lacrosse, played football. I've done a lot of sports, honestly. My whole life was pretty much football. Growing up, I played from kindergarten all the way until 9th grade, and then racing kind of took off, and I started to miss a lot of the workouts in the summer and stuff, so kind of moved away from that, moved more towards racing. And yeah, I mean, I've loved school sports my whole life, and it's been a huge part of who I am today.
Well, our second question is a listener-submitted question, and it's from @MotoCoach Shay, and he asks, if you couldn't be involved with motorcycle racing, what would you want to do for a living?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. I would say definitely be a professional athlete in some other sport. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'd probably have to go with lacrosse if I was to choose one. That's just been, I don't know, one of my favorite sports growing up.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, what was your first race bike?
My first race bike was a PW50 that I rode as a dirt bike, and then after that, Cobra 50. But in terms of street bike type of things, it was a KLX 110 with street tires on it for the go-kart track.
Okay. What was the first bike that you properly crashed? And I don't mean just like a gentle low side or just tipped over. You bend it hard and you couldn't ride it for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that was my Ninja 400 at NJMP, which is New Jersey. Yeah. I crashed pretty good there in turn 5, wadded the thing up, bent the frame, so had to sit her out for the rest of the day.
Well, our final question is what has been your favorite experience so far in MotoAmerica?
I think meeting all the new people, honestly. It's just great to meet all the fans, meet all the, big names in the industry. Just putting myself out there, that would definitely be my favorite part of it.
Well, Matthew Chapin, thank you very much for joining us.
Of course.
I am joined by 4-time Superbike champion Josh Hayes. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, man. No problem.
So, we're doing just 5 simple questions. The answer may be as long or as short as you need it to be. We're really just looking for the first answer that comes to mind.
Oh, man, I'm a talker, so that could be a problem. Okay,
that's not a problem for a podcast.
Let's see what you got.
The first question is, did you participate in any other sports outside of racing as a kid?
I tried all the stick and ball sports at least once before racing. For racing, for me, my family couldn't afford to take me racing, so after I graduated high school and I had a job is when I started racing. So I tried all of the high school sports, I say high school. No. In elementary school, I tried baseball, basketball, soccer, football. And then when I got to high school, quite honestly, I was a bit of a late bloomer and I was a bit shy, so I didn't want to do some class and showers and all that kind of stuff. So I played tennis and hit some golf balls from time to time. So I did manage to play with a lot of other sports. I rode bicycles. I liked motorcycles, and I played on some mini bikes, but I never got to do any racing or anything.
Well, we have a listener submitted question, and it's from @MotoCoach Shay on Instagram, and he asks, if you couldn't be involved in motorcycle racing at all, what would you be doing for a living?
It's funny because, like all of the guys a lot of the guys I coach, we talk about, like, as a coach, or not as a coach, but as an athlete, what were the things that motivated me and stuff. And I was like, necessity was a big part of it, because I came from a little podunk town, and a lot of the same people are still there drinking on the same bar stool where I grew up. And
I came from the same kind of town.
I got to go live this amazing life, and, like, what would have happened if I hadn't made it? I tried for a long time, so if I had come up short in my late 20s, I would have gone home with a Mississippi high school education and no job history and a failed motorcycle racer. And I mean, I laugh and always say I'd have probably been a trash man or a janitor somewhere. Like, that's the realistic side of what could have happened. But my dad was a firefighter, and so public service like that was probably a reasonable outlet. But I would have been a late starter there, going into that. Injured if they would take me, injured in my late 20s or early 30s. So, that was going to be a tough one, and that was a huge motivator for me to. I don't say I can't. It's hard to say make it, because that doesn't really mean that you make it, but risk a lot,
right? And
not be afraid of failure. Like I knew, no matter what, that's what I was going home to, so I could at least try my best and go after this with everything I had. And if I wasn't good enough, I just wasn't good enough.
Well, the third question is, what was your first race bike?
First race bike was a 91 CBR 600 F2. I loved it when I was in high school, and I wheeled and dealed a bunch of, $1,500 to $3,500 cars and trucks and back and forth with different things, and kept trying to upgrade. And I came across one with a salvage title that my parents let me get as a senior in high school, and got it cleaned up in a clear title, and it ended up being my first race bike after I crashed it and couldn't afford a headlight. Was more expensive than a number plate. So,
well, you must be prescient, because our next question is, what's the first bike you properly crashed? And I don't mean like a tip over or a little low side. Well, I mean you bend it so hard you couldn't ride it the rest of the day.
That bike, it's funny, because this is one of those moments in life that when it happened, it was the worst thing that had ever happened to me. But my dream motorcycle was the Honda 900 RR with the 16-inch front wheel and the holes in the fairing, like that white with the red and blue blocks was like my dream motorcycle. And I had finally gotten to a point where I was working and I could afford to finance one as soon as I sold my 600. Mm-hmm. And I had gone down to hang out with my buddies at the beach in Mississippi, where we always did, a bunch of military guys that were all older than me. And one of those Southern Thunder Boomers that's about a 2-mile wide storm was coming through, and I go, you know what, I think I'm going to go home. And on the way home, when that thunderstorm happened, a bunch of guys wanted to U-turn and go back to where it was sunny, and it had already started raining, and so when they all stopped traffic on the highway, I ended up crashing into the back of one of those cars and destroying my motorcycle. My dreams went out the window. The next day, that bike was going to be sold, and Tuesday I was financing a Honda 900, my dream bike. But had that happened, I would have never been able to afford to even try the racetrack. So it ended up being one of those things that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And
a blessing in disguise.
A blessing in disguise, because I got to go have this incredible life in motorcycle racing.
Well, our final question is, what has been your favorite experience so far in MotoAmerica?
MotoAmerica? Man, that's a hard one. The first year of MotoAmerica was pretty special. We got the new 2015 R1 Yamaha. Beaubier ended up winning the championship, but I did win more races than him that year. I won 10, he won 8.
Right.
So that was
I may have heard that a few times.
That was pretty special. But yeah, I mean, like, it's so hard. I've gotten to have so many amazing moments in racing. Getting to being kind of done with the factory superbike in 2017. Coming back and competing just with riding with my wife, that was pretty special. Riding her R6 that she prepared for me and doing well with it. Got on the podium at a few MotoAmerica races in 2019 on it. Coming back later and doing the 200 for a few years and having some success here. Getting to go race in Supersport and get the all-time win record at 48 years old was pretty special. Winning a race at 50 years old last year in Barber was pretty special. So, I mean, I've lived such a blessed life, it's hard to pick one.
Sir, you have lived an amazing life, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.